Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first day of this new mastermind, the Christ Project Mastermind. This is a mastermind. Hold on a second. I needed to close out my YouTube channel. I was coming in behind myself. My apologies. I'm learning all of this technology, but um, my name is Kintu Martin Coward. I am going to be your guide through this book. And we're not going to make a lot of fanfare. This is a free mastermind. If you're here, I'm so glad you came. We'll let you in. This is the very first day. The beauty of this mastermind and the beauty of this book, we're going to be practicing spiritual exercises. We're going to go in the order of this book. I'm going to teach you in that order, but that doesn't mean that if you wanted to come in 2 months from now, you could jump in here and start working with us, because these are just working the exercises, and you get better the more you do them. So it's not so much you got to be sequential with the book, but you got to be sequential with your practice. It's got to be something that you do every single day. So whether you're starting today, which is October the 7th, or it's December 1st and you're starting now, it really doesn't matter. The good news is you're about to start on a wonderful journey, because this book, it really, as you can see, it's just well worn. It just really changed the trajectory of my life. I had made a commitment to do something that I had no idea how I was going to do it. I had traveled to Nairobi to deliver a cell phone to a man who was living in the desert, a refugee living in the desert, a Ugandan man. He is now my business partner and my best friend, and I am on a mission with him to help liberate marginalized Africans who've been impacted by the anti-homosexuality bill of 2023, to get them safely located in the United States. And it's a wonderful journey. And what's really interesting to me, I was thinking today as I was about to start this new free mastermind, was I was like, is it going to be a success? I know it's going to be a success. It's going to be a bigger success than I think it's going to be. And it probably won't look like I think it's going to look, because 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, I did a free 21-day workshop of the same nature. It was on, I think, how to turn your Facebook page into a storefront. And that's where I met all of my friends from Africa. And that's where I found my following. And that's where I found my purpose. That's found out who I was. So it didn't manifest into, hundreds of people showing up for my courses, but it did help me find who I am and what my purpose in the world is. And that's what's important. And that's what you're going to learn in here. Is you're going to learn to let go of all those ideas of what you're supposed to look like, what you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to do, particularly if you were raised in some crazy dogmatic Christian church that told you should look and spell and stuff like that, because that's not true. You're going to learn just the opposite of that. You are born the Christ. Everyone is born the Christ. That is the point of the Jesus story, is to say God became manifest, love became manifest, the Creator became manifest as a human being. And at the time, he manifests as a human being named Jesus of Nazareth, who came to teach us how to manifest. He came to teach us how to get into the kingdom of heaven, what I call the zone of genius. Some people call that the quantum field. Some people call it all kinds of things, the fifth dimension. It is a higher level of consciousness that transcends the rational thinking human mind and goes into a higher plane of consciousness, what we call Christ consciousness. So we're going to learn all about what that is, and we're going to also learn about what it's not. I will tell you, this is not going to be a course in any kind of religious studies or belief systems. Quite the opposite. This is going to be an opportunity to learn a practice, a daily practice It's going to allow you to connect deep within yourself, into your soul, and align your heart, your mind, your soul, and your body into that zone of awareness, into that zone of loving consciousness, which is not some crazy woo-woo land. You know, people won't look at you, oh my God, he look like he's in the zone of genius. But people don't have any idea I'm in the zone of genius all the time. People have no idea if I'm in the zone of genius or not. So they do know because they know something about me. There's a certain attraction that happens, and I meet people all the time because I'm in my zone of genius, but I'm not wearing it like a star over my head, and you won't either. But you'll sure feel good. You'll feel great because you're not judging people. You're just loving. That's what it means to be. You can't judge and love people at the same time. You see. So if you're judging, if I'm in the grocery store and I'm walking down the aisle, I'm judging somebody in front of me who I think's overweight and got too many sweets in her baggie. I'm not loving, I'm judging. But the thing is, it ain't making any difference to her. I'm the one that's suffering. So if I let go of the judgment and just say I love her, she's a lovely person. I don't know anything about her, but she seems like a lovely person. That's the truth. If I shift, I step deeper into that higher level of consciousness because I've stopped judging and I started loving. And that's really one of the best ways to know when I go out through my day. Am I loving someone or am I judging someone? Because when I'm judging someone, I'm not just judging someone, I'm judging me. It's always a projection. I'm judging something about myself. So if I can let go of that judgment, then I can open up that space to let love in. Oh, it's such a better way to live life. Such a better way to live life. And that's what Jesus of Nazareth was trying to teach us. And I won't go into how it got off the rails, but it got off the rails because it had to get off the rails to get us where we are today. That's just what I do now. But this is the first week of this episode of this new mastermind. It says it's a 90-day mastermind because it's going to be it's a 90-day cycle to get through the book. Let me clear it again. We're going to time it to get through this book over a 90-day period of time. You can start and finish anytime you want to. As a matter of fact, I would recommend, whether you plan to take my mastermind or not, I would go out and get this book. The New Spiritual Exercises in the Spirit of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. And the author is a guy named Louis M. Savory. Louis M. Savory. This is the book. What I'm going to do is I'm going to guide. I've done it, been through it 3-4 times. I'm going to act as your guide. We're going to go through this together, and we're starting with today. I'm giving you some homework. Your homework is to, one, get this book. Go out and get this book. Order it from Amazon. I don't get paid to sell the book. This book has changed my life. And let me go back to my story again. So I had just come back from Nairobi, where I had committed my life to helping this man that I just met and fell in love with. And I don't mean romantically. I mean fell deep in love with, like my brother, connected, agape love, and found something worth living for, found my purpose. But I didn't know how I was going to live that purpose out. I just knew that I had done something wild. I got on a plane, flew to Nairobi, delivered a cell phone, met a guy, had no money, and committed my life to helping him. I mean, I guess, the fact that I flew there in the first place, I ought to tell you that there's something bigger going on here than what Martin thought. But that came out of the beginning of one of my free masterminds. So this morning when my little ego is saying, it probably won't be anymore. I said, wait a minute here. I haven't done anything that wasn't successful. It's how you define success. If I got what I've got today, because I did this course 3 years ago in a different format, God knows what I'm going to get from this. And I'm excited about that. And that is the Christ Project, by the way. That enthusiasm, that excitement of the unknown. But you get excited about the unknown when it's based in this story of the universe explaining to us and telling us, please join me in the co-creation. Join me in this and become co-creators of a beautiful, loving, peaceful, abundant, be collaborators of the truth about what we have here on planet Earth. That's what the Christ Project movement is all about. And it's about living into that faith. I was recently in a class at UUCM, which is where I go to, which is where my spiritual community, the Unitarian Universal Congregational Church of Montclair. It was adult education course, and there's a thing called the Stage 6, which is apparently the highest level of faith. And one of the things they talked about was living the experience of the Christ. They didn't call it the Christ in that book. I forgot what they called it, but living the beauty and the magic of the experience and contributing and serving and being of service to others and being a vital part of a bigger picture, because we are bigger than what we see. So when you engage that higher self, that higher sense of spirit, that higher level of consciousness, the body gets to go with it. You know, the body gets out of the way, and certainly the ego gets out of the way, because it begins to realize that it's a much more fun way to live, to go with spirit, because she's got a wonderful way of doing things that's very exciting. And yes, you're going to run into some real challenges, but that's where the fun begins. That's where the fun begins. And the thing is, in these exercises, they will help you get through the challenges. Okay? When you have a daily practice, you'll begin to realize every challenge is an opportunity. And you begin to realize how to transmute fear into something else, how we use that energy of fear. And everybody uses it in different ways. But they have a mature, they do enough shadow work, we call it, to get a perspective of the shadow, to go in and out of it, so they can see it. They can see it in front of them in some way. I can see that shadow in front of me. If I'm not afraid of it, for me, it's about feeling the fear, about really embodying the fear and the anger and whatever the negative feeling is. Once I embody it and begin to find the center of it and really embrace it and say, I'm not afraid of you. This is wonderful. It begins to break open. And the illusion, the fog lifts, and all of a sudden you're sitting in this wonderful light of love. That's how you transmute fear into love. You feel it. I feel it. That's what I do. I feel it. That's some of the exercises you're going to learn in here. How do you transmute fear into love? Because when you can transmute fear into love, then you have the power to create your future. That's how we manifest. That is how we manifest. Okay? So I'm gonna get you started. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna just open up the book, and I'm gonna kind of just go through it really quickly and just see what stands out to me as something. The new spiritual, your purpose and intention. Your purpose. What is your purpose and intention? And it starts with, what's your purpose of reading this book? Brings that to your awareness. The new spiritual exercises presents a spirituality of action. I'm going to read this, the very first paragraph of the book to you, just to get started. The new spiritual exercises presents a spirituality of action. Stage 6 of the Faith in Action education over at UUCM. It involves your free will and your choices. It assumes you come to this powerful process with a specific intention or purpose, that you come asking, searching, or knocking for something. If you're knocking on God's door, it helps to know what you want from God. So that's the invitation. Get the book, read through it, and begin to, well, what would you want from doing this? Now, how is your life going to get better how are you going to be more fulfilled? How are you going to be more if you were to get this book? Now I've highlighted, I'm going to go through and just read out some of the highlights that I did in these first few pages to kind of help you get started so you can know what you're looking for and what you can expect when you start to read these chapters. It may feel impossible to imagine the Lord of the universe contained in a piece of bread or a drop of wine, but that is what we are called in faith to do. Teilhard's dream was to teach people to see with spiritual eyes that magnificent cosmic Christ, body in the appearance of bread and wine. Now we can talk about that in terms of the Eucharist, which anybody can do, by the way. They teach you they make a big hoop to do in the dogmatic Christian churches like the Episcopal Church and the Anglican Church and the Roman about who can give the communion. Well, they are wrong. You don't need to be ordained to give communion. I can give you communion, you can give me communion. You just need two people who understand what they're doing. That's it. So and what they're doing is that is representative of the ability to manifest, to be able to turn matter into something, to turn the bread and the wine into a human being, into something. That's what he was teaching. And anybody can do that. So, and to teach people to see this through spiritual eyes, I'll read this one more time. It may feel impossible to imagine the Lord of the universe contained in a piece of bread or drop of wine, but that is what we are called by faith to do. We might even be called by faith to do that looking at a sunset, okay? But I think the idea that it's something as simple as bread and wine, something we consume every day when we begin to stop and see the magnificence of life in those two symbolic pieces, we can begin to see that life is in everything. Does that make sense? Okay. So it talks about keeping a journal. So in addition to buying the book, you definitely want to keep, and I get a branding journal for this thing. A system of spiritual development. For Ignatius, with inner freedom was reached when you were able to let go of all inner disorder and misguided attachments, and thus were able to seek and find what God wanted you to do or accomplish with your life. So you're able to clear all the time what you're supposed to do. People told you how you're going to make money. Let all that go. And when you can begin to see with real clarity why you're here and what you're meant to do. And that's what we're finding. What is your life's purpose? Who are you and why are you here? That's the first. We all ask that question. Well, here is telling us how to find the answers to those questions. There's the only person that can answer that question for you is you. But these are exercises to help you find the answers to those questions. And it goes through a bunch of sort of questions on how to do it. And then here's something that I think everybody should definitely read. The 17 basic Teilhard principles that give rise to the new spiritual exercise. And I'm not going to read through all 17 of those here, but again, what I'm showing you is what here, and then you're going to go through between now and next week and do this homework. You're going to read this yourself. You're going to highlight things. And then when we come back next week, you're going to talk about what you learned the previous week, you see. One of the first principles is the discoveries of modern science must form an important foundation to any contemporary spirituality if it is to be true, relevant, and inspiring. A true spirituality must include humanity in its wholeness, as that wholeness is understood by any civilization at its time. So that's what you're going to read through. You're going to read through all 17 of those exercises. Let's do this. Defining consciousness in the new spiritual exercises. It's important to remember that consciousness has two essential components: awareness and appropriate response. In order to be conscious, it is not enough to simply be awake or aware of what's going on. To be truly conscious, you also need to respond appropriately to what you are experiencing. It requires a response to the stimulation, at least some thought or reflection. Also, in response, you may choose to act or choose not to act. What it's telling you is it puts you in the driver's seat. Not your thoughts, not your images, not your fears, not your anything. It puts you back in the driver's seat. Now, I recommend that you do too, the same thing when you go through these 17 principles, see what resonates. And this, what I always say in my journal about it, if one resonates with you more than another one, write that. If you're resisting something, that's even why you're resisting it. Journal about that. I'm resisting this principle 10. I don't believe it. I don't, and write your truth about it. You don't have to agree with it. That's the point of your, and I'll tell you something about resistance. Resistance is fear. So that's what we want to find. We want to find, where are you resisting? And that's your homework. If you're reading something in here and you're really having some resistance to, write that down. And ask yourself, why are you resist? Why has this got you triggered? You know? That'll make more sense to you as we go through the program. But those are important parts of this journey of shadow work, those things that we resist. And then we're going to start the first week. But we're not going to start the first week. We're not going to get to that between now and next Monday. Okay? We're not going to get to that between now and next Monday. Between now and next Monday, we're going to get the book. Everybody get the book, whether you take this mastermind or not. But you might as well take the mastermind and let me help guide you through it, because you're going to have all kind of freedom and you get to watch the replays. By the way, let me tell you something. More people will watch this replay than are here right now. Because there's nobody here right now but me. That's not the first time I've done this. Talk to crickets. It's okay. Like I said, first one, I did one three years ago and changed my life. So I don't know what exactly is going to happen here. So the fact that it's got crickets here, nobody here but me listening and talking to myself. There are people who are listening, you're just not here right now. Okay. So whether you come back ever again, if you want to get one thing, one nugget, go get this book. I'm going to read it out loud again. The New Spiritual Exercises in the Spirit of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. And it's written by a guy named Louis M. Savory, Savary, and you can buy it on Amazon. I would highly recommend the book. And then go into our website at www.diamondmindacademy.org and sign up for the free mastermind. I'm only going to be here as a group to talk about the book, guide you through it, and move everyone forward as best we can. Okay? So that's what we got for today. That's how we're going to get started. We're going to get started with, we're here. You know what it's a little bit about. But the best way for you to find out what this is about, if you want, is to go get this book and read the first part of it up to the first week. And if it resonates with you, then come on back and be part of the program. If it doesn't, then throw it away and go on and do something else, because it wasn't the right thing for you. Okay, it's not the right thing for everybody, but the only way you're going to know is to go get the book. Okay, you know, and if the book appeals to you and you want to learn more and you want a group of people to discuss it with, it's kind of like a book club, if you will. We'll call it the book club if you want to, the mastermind. We'll talk about the book. You know, it's your course. I mean, I'm excited to be presenting it to you. Okay. So thank you for coming today, or not coming, giving me some context to put out there about what we're doing. And I sure do appreciate you. And I look forward to you getting the book and coming back and